We will forgive the brainwashed, but we will never forgive the brainwashers.
Welcome back. Hope everyone's doing well. In today's top stories, we've got the by-election. So these results are coming in right now as I'm filming this, but it seems the Elmwood-Transcona one is more or less locked. The other one's still dead heat. We'll get into those numbers. And also we've got first day of Parliament. All the politicians went back to work and a whole bunch of them got heckled as they walked through the gate. So we've got a bunch of clips there. We've got the CBC getting heckled on the streets. We've got Donald Trump. Someone tried to take him out again. So let's jump into this. So first up, we've got live election results right now. You can see right here the Elmwood-Transcona. They're basically calling this right now. You know, Conservatives were close, but they lost to the NDP. I don't know why people are voting NDP here. Well, I do. It's mostly old people who are getting the dental care, and that kind of flipped the switch for them. Supporting Jagmeet is just ridiculous. These people... for shame.
Okay, we got a couple of minutes left. We're going to leave here knowing that the Conservatives have conceded an Elmwood-Transcona. The official verification of that.
So you can see here the LaSalle Imard Verdun. This is the one that they said it would be a tight race. Look how tight this is. The Bloc 27.6, NDP 27.5, Liberals 26.8. These keep flipping. This one, by the time you're watching this video, the results should be within a couple hours of me posting this video.
Come later, but it looks like the NDP win that seat, at least at this point in time. We're going to leave here knowing that anything can happen in LaSalle Imard Verdun. So, Fred, I mean, walk us through what you think the range of reaction could be tomorrow, because the Liberals are either going to lose this narrowly or win this narrowly. There is no affirming great surge in this must-win Liberal cabinet minister seat.
Yeah, it's bad news for the Liberals all around, even if it's a tight race and they win. For the NDP to have held Elmwood, it's a wash at least for them, or it could be positive. In fact, they're competing in Quebec, I would say it's a positive. But for the Conservatives, and that's another hit for the Liberals, the Conservatives are at over 10% in a French riding on the island of Montreal.
11.3.
That's incredible. There's the English ridings in Montreal that we traditionally compete in, but these ridings were, you know, usually nowhere.
This is pretty heavily Anglophone, though, right? This one's got a pretty high English population, does it not? If I'm remembering my demographics of this, it's, oh no, it's 58% French. I apologize. I should never.
Thanks for fact checking the fact check.
No, look,
He's trying to look at it for an out for Trudeau, just to say, oh, it's the Anglophones, that's why.
I'm big enough to admit when I'm wrong, because it happens with great frequency. But yes, that is a very good point, that double digits in a French ride.
So it's another knock on the Liberals here, where the Conservatives are competing, eating into different areas where they aren't traditionally strong. So again, I think a bad night for them, and the Bloc could be a good night for them, obviously, if they win this.
What's interesting here is this graph. They initially showed this. I'll just make it full screen for you guys. Right around here, the Trudeau's candidate, she just kind of gave a speech and she walked off. And everyone was kind of confused, like, what's going on? But she left. She just kind of poopy pants left. It seemed like she stormed out because it looked like she was going to lose. But as you can see here, some other votes came in. Maybe there's some backdoor briefcase votes. I don't know. But, you know, at a certain point here, then it got really close. But she's gone. She went home for the night. She just thought she was going to lose and poopy pants out. So it's really interesting. So now you can just see it's so tight. So they just ended this live stream, but you can see here the NDP just popped on top of the block here. They're both at 27.5, so anything's possible in this one. Either way, though, this is supposed to be a Liberal stronghold, and they're like neck and neck. So this really sends a big message to Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. Jumping ahead here multiple hours. So this is the results we have. It does say at the bottom here, poll reporting 100%. These are preliminary. I'm guessing they'll have to go through and verify this because it's so close. But you got the Bloc winning here with 28% and the Liberals at 27.2. If you look at the votes, 8,884 versus 8,636. And then the NDP at 8,262. So this came, a difference between first and third is 600 votes. 620. So it's tight, you know, in between the Bloc and Liberals here is 200 votes. So 240. Every vote really matters here. So we'll see what the official results are, but that's what it looks like. The Bloc is winning this by-election, which really sticks it to Trudeau. Moving on here, we've got Right Blend. So these guys showed up. I've got a video of here. They're getting ready to welcome all of the corrupt politicians back into House of Commons.
Yeah, brother. Hey, welcome.
So we got this posted here. You can see 11 no blind eye treason. Name the traitors. Girls are not safe. So they wrote this basically as they have to walk up the stairs, so they all see this. And you can see here video after video, these politicians all get heckled. First off, we got Johnny Rowe. This guy's the guy who's always standing out there with the microphone, just blasting everyone. He's a one of a kind.
Hey, all across our country, because of lies, we will forgive the brainwashed, but we will never forgive the brainwashers. The brainwashers, the CBC, CTV, Global News, City TV, the rest of the corporate media that spreads their constant, unending, immoral, irrational lies. Lies about everything. They lie from morning to night. They lie from cradle to grave. They never stop. They are the most heinous criminals in the country.
They lie from cradle to grave. So that was CBC there. You'll see they pack up and try to move further away.
The liars have blood on their hands.
Liars!
I love more than to see the backs of their heads. Go away with your lies.
Woo! Oh. Johnny's great. He's the voice we all need down there.
Constant lies, war lies, COVID lies, liars who tell every Canadian in the country lies. They spread their corruption. It's the CBC, CTV, Global News, state media, liars with blood on their hands. They are operating the war machine.
So we got more of these clips. They just keep going and going.
Traitors! Name the traitors!
86% of Telesat is owned by Americans. 86%.
Name the traitors!
Treason in our country.
That's really interesting. So 86% of Telesat, that's that Lightspeed, the $2 billion investment I mentioned yesterday's video that Trudeau's giving. I said, you know, there's got to be some connections there for his buddies, and they saying 86% are owned by Americans. So what's the difference between going with that company and Elon Musk? Well, we'd save $1 billion, more than $1 billion. That's the difference. And speaking of Telesat, so we've got this post here. So we got Ryan Turnbull coming down here. He's one of the liberals that's quite active on X, and he always makes himself look like a fool. More importantly, he says Andy Lee pointed out that senior liberal advisor Mark Carney met with the CEO of Telesat a few months ago, and now the company is set to receive more than $2 billion public funds. There it is. That's the connection. Mark Carney, he's the connection to Telesat. No wonder they're getting that money. It's always just these corrupt backdoor deals. Get it from Elon Musk, save $1 billion. That would be better for us, but it's not better for them because they're a bunch of thieves and crooks. So Ryan Turnbull, liberal, he's got nothing to say now, does he? He's always got a big mouth on Twitter.
Good boy.
They even got their eyes here on Jagmeet Singh.
Jagmeet Singh, are you going to call an election? Are you going to call an election, Mr. Singh? Are you going to vote no confidence? Canadians want an election. Oh.
Jagmeet doesn't care about anything but getting to February without rocking the boat.
This is what members of Parliament are looking forward to when they return to Parliament today here in Ottawa. A pretty good crowd gathered.
Yeah. You got a lot of Patriots out here. This is a Monday morning. These people are out here. That's pretty amazing, really.
The privileged get to sit behind the Golden Gates.
Just like everything else is. We want an election ASAP.
People calling for an election. They're not going to do it.
Name the traitors!
Traitors!
We want an election!
He's back.
Canada wants an election.
We are not going anywhere until we get the names.
Name the traitors!
I want their names. I want names.
Those traitors' names before we have an election.
Name the traitors! Don't keep them
We want the names. Why do you lie to Canadians? Telesat is an American company. He gets to go in. State-funded media gets to go in.
Yeah, CBC can go in, that's for sure, but nobody else. In some other news here, so Donald Trump, there's been a second attempt on his life. This is pretty gnarly, considering, look what's going on in America. They got their election here in a month, and suddenly they're really pushing for WW3. There's another attempt on his life. Is this all planned because they don't want to go through with the election? Kind of seems like it.
To the United States now, where a man accused of attempting to shoot Donald Trump made his first court appearance this morning. 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh is now facing 2 U.S. federal gun charges, 1 possessing a firearm as a felon and 2 possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Both charges stemming from an incident that unfolded Sunday at Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. Police saying Mr. Routh was waiting in the bushes where the former president and current Republican nominee was playing golf. Secret Service agents reportedly spotted the barrel of the gun and opened fire, thwarting what authorities believe was a second attempt at Mr. Trump's life. The suspect was eventually apprehended and Mr. Trump was not harmed. Still, many questions are now being raised about the level of security that's required in this U.S. presidential campaign. And Mr. Trump, for his part, was quick to launch a fundraising effort on Sunday evening. But you know, this campaign has already had a few inflection points, one of which was the first assassination attempt on Trump's life back in July. That incident and Trump's defiant exit from the stage really, invigorating Republicans going into their national convention. So I wonder, does this second attempt on Mr. Trump's life give added momentum to his campaign?
With respect to the seriousness of the situation, Michael, probably not. And here's why. This situation, the second assassination attempt, was a lot less dramatic. Now, Donald Trump, certainly in the hours after it took place, has tried to make as much of it as possible. He's used it as a fundraising opportunity. He's splashed it all over his webpage, in text messages and emails. So he's really tried to drum up support from his supporters. But a shot was not fired so far as we know. Donald Trump most certainly was not hit with a bullet, and it stands in great contrast to the situation back in July when Donald Trump was, of course, hit with a bullet and was millimeters away from potentially being killed.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild situation here. I mean, I believe he has requested more security, but they've denied him that security. So that's where we're going to leave that. We got this clip here posted by Justin Trudeau's Ego. It says, someone at CBC must be mad at me because they aired this clip exposing how awful Canada's economy is. That's not what I'm paying them $600 million for.
Canada's economy is sliding dramatically compared to the United States. In 2023, the U.S. reported a GDP per capita of almost $65,000. That is compared to Canada, which is just over $45,500. So, how did Canada stray so far from the United States? Broadly, does this stem from the U.S. doing something really well or Canada doing something really poorly?
Well, that's a great question. So if you look at last year, you gave the 2023 data. For Canada, that's just slightly below where the Canadian economy was per person 10 years prior to that, back in 2014. Whereas in the United States, we've seen growth of over 19% by that measure. But it's not just us versus the United States that's diverging. Right. Our position relative to the G7 has also been deteriorating. Our divergence with all advanced industrial economies in what's called the OECD group of countries. 2024 might be the first year where Canada falls below the OECD average. And that is a sharp reversal from the roughly 10% advantage that we held for the quarter century between 1990 and 2015. So it's not just a unique American success story. It is really a story about Canada's economy lagging behind where we'd like it to be.
This is another stain of Justin Trudeau on Canada's history going on. It'll be one of his legacies, one of the many things he's destroyed about our country, the economy being the biggest one. It's funny, this guy posted, reported for misinformation. The CBC got 1.38 billion because he said 600 million. I was like, that's not right. Yeah, it's 1.38 billion. 600 million was given to the private media to encourage them to become like the CBC. We got this clip here of Christy Clark and Vasi Capellos. Christy Clark just goes off on Jagmeet here. Christy Clark is an absolute disaster to our country. She's been an absolute disaster in British Columbia in her years. Those not aware, Christy Clark used to be the Premier of BC for the Liberal Party. She was the start of the end of British Columbia here. She did nothing about the housing crisis, and she just further let it go on. She did nothing about all the money laundering and all this foreign buyers just buying up everything and running our housing market to the moon.
I think he comes across as unprincipled, and I would say for the NDP, that's a tough thing because, lots of us don't agree with NDP policies on stuff, but honestly, many people would say, well, at least they've got principles. Well, apparently, Jagmeet Singh doesn't have a whole lot of principles, and he'll change them at when the winds start blowing in a different direction. And I think that's the big downside in this for him. I would also say you better watch your back when New Democrats decide they're going to play with the carbon tax, because Gordon Campbell brought one in British Columbia. It worked. When the NDP and BC came in, the first thing that they did is they took every penny of revenue from the carbon tax, which had previously gone into big tax cuts for people in the province, and they put it in straight to government coffers. They kept raising it after we'd frozen it, and they grew government by 50%, but largely by virtue of the fact that they were taking the carbon tax out of people's pockets and putting it into the government's pocket.
Both the Liberals and the NDP have been a disaster in this province. So next month, people, we get to vote. We can get rid of these people and just keep them out of government forever. This is the woman who intentionally ran a red light with a journalist inside. She was confused. It ended up with her in an interview article. She's a clown who sold out BC and contributed to the fall of BC Liberals. She's proud of the tax hike Liberal commies brought into BC. And in today's logic, that means taxing you so you become wealthier. The dummy scale here is off the charts. She's the last person that should be talking. Yeah. We've got to expect going forward here for the rest of the week that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are just going to be drilling down on Trudeau for either losing or almost losing their Liberal stronghold there with this by-election. So the temperature keeps rising for the Liberals. How much will it take for Justin Trudeau to finally step down?